Hello everybody. So it's the end of the year and the markets are not outstanding. Not great to say the least. Yesterday Bitcoin was at 95, MicroStrategy was at 330, and as you saw in my video, I was pleased by how cheap MicroStrategy was. Well, it got much cheaper. There is more volatility on MicroStrategy than there is on Bitcoin. In fact, if I do a very simple calculation, it was 95,000 for Bitcoin and 330 for MSTR. Today, it's 305 as I recorded for MSTR and 91,900 for Bitcoin, which means that Bitcoin dropped 3.4%. MicroStrategy dropped 8.2%. So the volatility in this stock is alive. And perhaps the best way I can explain the added volatility on MicroStrategy is that perhaps a lot of people got in above 500 and they're like, okay, well, whatever, I'll take a tax loss. This is my last day to take a tax loss. And so they do that. Hence this title of this video, Nothing Short Term. I don't cover any stocks for the short term. I don't do anything for the short run. And I am a long-term investor. And so to me, this is a stock that I've held for more than 2 years. This is a stock that I plan to hold past 2030. I plan to hold it for a very long time. I don't need to tax loss harvest anymore. And so as a result of that, to me, it's a buying opportunity, and I bought some MicroStrategy today at around 305. The price to NAV is a 1.84, and look at how much cheaper some stocks got, like Mara. Mara is a 1.43 on a price to NAV basis right now. If you want to see my numbers and my calculations, feel free to pause and take a look. It looks like the expansion of the price to NAV. Well, if that's happening, that's not happening today. And you know, what's the proper price to NAV? I think right now this is not something that we're discussing. But I also think that the proper price to NAV of a stock like MicroStrategy is more than 2, because Saylor is consistently able to earn a yield. That is the thesis. He's able to earn a Bitcoin yield on the bag, on the Bitcoin bag within the company. He's able to grow that bag on our behalf by borrowing on our behalf. So hence the title of this video. It's not a trade, it's a long-term play. Today, of course, we celebrate because he bought more Bitcoin. The slowdown, there's a slowdown. He's buying less and less Bitcoin, doing less and less ATM. I know some of my viewers will be very pleased about that. Many of you were upset about the at-the-market offering. He's doing less of it, but he's still doing a little bit of it. And he had 209 million of Bitcoin at 97. Didn't buy the top this time. Looks like a fair price compared to when he was buying it. It's all about if you believe in the asset will rebound if you have that belief. Anyways, the point I'm trying to make here is he's been buying for 8 weeks, 8 weeks in a row. It seems to be a weekly thing now. And so if this is going to be a weekly thing, well, that's going to be very interesting, and that's really going to help him earn that yield. What was the yield for the week? The weekly Bitcoin yield? Well, quite simply, it was 0.4%, because December 23, so 7 days ago exactly, he was at a 73.7% year-to-date yield. Now he's at a 74.1% year-to-date yield. So the difference, you do the difference, you get a 0.4% Bitcoin yield in a week, and that's way ahead of anything that was guided. Way ahead. And if I go into my hope, of course, here is what's going to happen. How many times is he going to be able to earn that yield, that Bitcoin yield? How long is that going to last? Well, this is the spreadsheet where I extrapolated for the next 10 years. So today, with a current price to NAV, so you do a 1 divided by 1.83, that's how you get 0.55. So today, whoever spends $92,000 today on MicroStrategy, you get the equivalent of 0.55 Bitcoin. If you were to just buy the Bitcoin, you get a 1. Right here, you see a 1, you see a 1. 10 years later, you see a 1, you see a 1. If instead of buying one full Bitcoin, one says, hey, I'm going to buy $92,000 worth of MicroStrategy stock instead of buying one Bitcoin, you would get the equivalent of 0.55 Bitcoin. So that's this division right here, 1.55 Bitcoin equivalent in MicroStrategy. And then you start holding on to a stock over the long run. And the question is, what yield is he going to be able to earn for you? If he's able to earn a 15% yield for you, you start coming ahead after year 4. You start having more economic ownership into Bitcoin wrapped into MSTR stock. That starts happening after year 4 if he earns 15%. If he earns 25% yield, that's sometime before the end of year 3 that you start breaking even on the idea. The idea is you pay a premium. You pay up for the wrapped Bitcoin within MicroStrategy. You paid up for that, but because you paid up for that, you get a yield. And so this is why, in my view, this is an investment that only works for multiple years, bare minimum 5 years. And, as Saylor says, if you don't want to hold it for 4 years, you shouldn't hold it for a minute. That's what Saylor always says about the Bitcoin, and I really take that to heart. So if you analyze this week's yield, so in 1 week, 0.4%, you annualize that, that's about a 22% per annum if you annualize that, and that's the grok math here. Again, pretty simple stuff. But if you annualize it, that's about 22%. So we're closer to the 25%, and that's the lowest yield we've seen in 8 weeks. So last week, when I did this weekly BTC yield, it did 1% last week. So you're at about 22%. So I don't know what the yield is going to be. I've often assumed between 15 and 25% is what the yearly yield is going to be. I don't know. Nobody knows. That's the part of risk of buying this company. This is what he guided. He guided 6-10, 6-10, 6-10. And you can see that the yield that he earned in 2024 already more than outdid any guidance that was given for the next 3 years. Because year to date for 2024, i.e. the full year 2024, because we're done now with 2024, essentially, we're at 74% Bitcoin yield in 2024. So this has been an outstanding year for this stock, from a fundamental standpoint, not from a price action standpoint, not from where the stock is trading, or even though it has been outstanding for that too, but from an underlying asset standpoint, from an accumulation standpoint, MicroStrategy has highlighted to the market. Again, why is it down right now? 305, 308, 307, doesn't really matter. It's down maybe because of tax loss selling. I'm not a trader. I don't know the short-term movement. I know the markets, unfortunately right now, the markets are very upset about this 10-year yield, and people just not wanting to lend any money at the level the Fed would like them to lend the money. The 10-year yield remains close to the highest in recent memory, at a 4.5% roughly, and actually the 10-year yield is up 26% since September 2024. So the Fed has kind of lost the playbook, and the Fed rates have kind of grown into irrelevance. And of course, this is worrying if you're into the markets, because you see a lot of people just buying the bonds and not really looking at buying equities. And that's why some of the equities are dropping. If we want the equities to keep going up, we want this to go down. And I really hope it does, because this situation cannot last much longer. If there's too much debt in the system, there is just too much debt in the system that needs to be paid off. And if this keeps going up like this, something is going to break. That's just my opinion. It's we all have our commentary, but that's just my opinion. Anyways, this was not financial advice, not investment advice. This is just entertainment. I hope you were entertained. This is a fun-only channel. Please like, please subscribe, follow me on X, follow me on Patreon. Thank you for watching, and have a wonderful, wonderful day.